Hey there everyone, this is Noah from Knights of 67, and it has been a long time since I did a WoW discussion. I think the last time I did one was after BlizzCon, so at least 2 months ago, easily. And I apologize for that, but as I've said in a lot of my Iron Man Challenge videos, it's just been kind of ridiculous to try and find topics to really talk about. Until recently, where Blizzard released a post on the World of Warcraft website that is Warlords of Draenor Scouting Report, and there will be a link to it in the video description below if you would like to check it out. There isn't too much to it other than a few updates and everything like that. Basically speculates as to when they will launch beta and everything like that, which is very cool, which means that they will probably have beta before too long. So really, this WoW discussions is going to be a lot less business-like than my other WoW discussions videos, but I will still try and make it very informative and everything like that. This one's more like my older ones, where I just kind of guess and speculate on things, so it should be fun. And it's going to be a lot shorter, I would imagine, than a lot of my WoW discussion videos. So basically the rundown of this is just going to be when can we expect Warlords of Draenor Beta, and then obviously the release of Warlords of Draenor after that, and then just general things like what we can expect from Warlords of Draenor from like a community perspective, not like game features and stuff, which I could turn into an entirely different WoW discussion video altogether, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. And then the main title and aspect of this WoW discussion video will be whether or not they can add a new class or race in Warlords of Draenor. Even though one was not initially announced in the launch trailer, they could still in theory do it, and I will go into how they could do it and everything like that throughout the course of this discussion. And again, I would like to apologize for the lack of WoW discussions, but hopefully I'll be back in the swing of things now. And yeah, alright, so let's go ahead and get into this WoW discussion. Alright, so first off we have speculating when exactly the Warlords of Draenor Beta will be released. Well, I can only speculate, of course, but judging by the article that was released the other day, and the fact that they've just been talking up and slowly releasing more pictures of the WoW race models, I think they're pretty close. I think they'll wait until they have all the models done, which there are still plenty that haven't been leaked to the public that may be done, but Blizzard just hasn't announced them yet. They may also just go ahead and like release them like as the beta goes on, I guess. A lot of people originally thought that maybe they would do that with Warlords of Draenor retail, like that they would slowly release the race models like as they came out, but that would be kind of stupid, so I don't think they'll do that. The race models will definitely be done in time, and I think that them releasing them gradually as the beta goes on would be a pretty likely scenario, seeing as how I think the beta, at the very latest, I think we could expect it maybe mid-March, and at the very soonest, maybe mid-next month, mid-February-ish. Of course, that would be very soon, but Blizzard is known to, sometimes tease at something they're doing in an article like this, and then come out something, not too long after. So, we could definitely expect Warlords of Draenor Beta to come out within at least the next 2 months, I would say, at the very latest. We just need to hold out a little bit longer, and I hope to God that I will get invited to the beta, as I have really never been invited to Blizzard betas other than Hearthstone beta. If you know or if you've watched my Iron Man Challenge videos, then you should know what I'm talking about, because I talk about it all the time. But that's beside the point. So, basically, I would expect it no later than about mid-March, and the soonest probably about mid-January, which really isn't that far away in the grand scheme of things. Only about 3 weeks away, maybe. So we'll have to wait and see if Blizzard does more news and everything within the next couple weeks, and that will make it more obvious whether or not they're going to do the beta as soon as maybe some people think they will. Which, of course, brings on the next topic of when will Warlords of Draenor be released? Well, given that each beta period roughly lasts about 6 months, I believe Pandaria Beta came out in March, so March of 2012, I should say. So we could, you know, if it comes out next month, or it comes out in March like Mr. Pandaria, then we'd be looking at a September release date like Mr. Pandaria was. Or if the beta comes out in February, then we could be looking at a, you know, mid-August release date or something. Possibly even sooner than that, if they wanted to make the beta period last shorter. They could also make it last longer. I mean, Blizzard can really do whatever they want. Typically, they last about 6 months, but it could be shorter, or it could, in theory, be longer, depending on how much they get done. Obviously, of course, the race models are a concern, you know, how far they'll get them done. They won't release the game until all of them are done. I'm certain of that. You know, they don't even know if they're going to go and do the Cataclysm races. They don't necessarily need to, but they said they could, in theory. Definitely not the Pandarens, though. Those are too graphically advanced. You know, at the end of the day, I think that we can expect beta within the next at least 2 months. So we don't have to wait that long to do it. They said they aren't going to do any annual pass or anything like that. So as far as I know, there isn't any guaranteed way that you can get into the beta. It's going to be just like Reaper of Souls beta, or really any other Blizzard beta besides Mr. Pandaria, where you just have to hope and pray that you get into the beta, myself included. So, and I really hope I can, you know, get into the beta, especially with this YouTube channel, so that I can show you guys all that's, you know, Warlords of Draenor has to offer. So, with that being said, Warlords of Draenor should be released around the same time, I would speculate. I think that beta will probably come late February, early March, and look for a late August to early September release date. So I think that's a pretty fair release point, if you will. Again, I have no clue, and I was completely wrong about the next expansion, so how trustworthy am I? Maybe not that much. So I would go ahead and just take your own word for it, I guess, over mine, but hey, you know, a man's gotta try. So with that, let's go ahead and move on to the future of World of Warcraft, as I like to call it. This future of World of Warcraft, as I put it, I'll try and make it pretty brief, relatively at least, because I don't want to be redundant and talk about many gameplay features that I've already talked about in my first WoW discussions about Warlords of Draenor. But basically, this is going to be a community kind of thought, I guess, like what I think that the community will think, and World of Warcraft's direction as a game and its popularity and everything like that. Because the subject of debate of Mr. Pandaria has been, you know, that it's lost so many subscribers over the course of the expansion, about 3.3 million, maybe less, maybe more. I don't know. I haven't checked the subscriber number in a couple months. And I've already expressed how I think that Warlords of Draenor will be a entirely new WoW experience. You know, I feel like it's going away from the old, which Cataclysm kind of did, and Mr. Pandaria kind of went off of that, but it still has kind of the old build of the game still within it. I feel like from a gameplay standpoint, like the new quest system, the new dungeon system, the new raid system, the new race models, you know, everything's new. And I really feel like that World of Warcraft is just going to transition into an entirely new type of game, while still maintaining, you know, that it feels like WoW, but it's also entirely new. And I think that that's extremely exciting, because I think that that's an aspect that an expansion really hasn't had. Sure, you have new content, you have new leveling, you have new gear, you have new levels, maybe new classes and new races. You know, that's all well and good, but the game still feels the same, which in some cases can definitely be refreshing. But at the same time, it doesn't really feel all that new, and it gets kind of old and mundane after a while, especially as long as expansions last. So I think it will be definitely refreshing to have Warlords of Draenor really branch off into an entirely different gameplay perspective and everything. The way that they're changing all the systems, the talents, well, no, not the talents, but like everything else, you know. So I think it'll be really, really exciting, and I think it will bring many, many players back to WoW. I don't want to say it'll bring WoW back to its former glory, but it possibly could. I think that Warlords of Draenor, from its base gameplay perspective, its features, its everything, and I said I wouldn't get into gameplay, but here I go. I think that it is the best looking expansion that I've seen from the trailers. I've been excited about other expansions in the past, but I'm definitely super excited about Warlords of Draenor. I think it just looks so refreshing. You know, I haven't seen things like garrisons. I haven't seen, you know, them implement an entirely new quest system. I mean, sure, they made the quest more fun and engaging, and, you know, initiated like a little quest tracker, but they never really changed the system. It was still kind of the same thing, and now it has like main and side story quests, you know, labeled, and you can kind of choose your own path. So you feel like you're more in control rather than going around in that straight path. But WoW's always kind of had that at the same time. But it's still pretty refreshing, and I feel like WoW is going to go in a completely different direction from a gameplay standpoint. And again, it's just going to feel like a completely different game, which I think will attract both veteran players who haven't played in years and new players alike. There was one thing that I did mention in my Warlords of Draenor discussion video the first time around that I do not feel particularly well about the free level 90. I know it's just one character, and I know you don't have to do it, but when you're given the option of getting a fresh level 90, why wouldn't you take it? You know, and that's just my point. You know, is it sure it's a choice, but it's going to be pretty hard to not just go, okay, yeah, sure, I don't want a free level 90. And it wouldn't be that big of a problem with me if it were veteran players or returning players that haven't played in years. That would kind of be understandable too. But the fact that it's going to be completely new players, I can't think of a single game that's ever just given you almost a max level character, because you always have to start out at level 1 and everything. And people have offered the rebuttal of, well, you know, it's a pain to have a friend join WoW and you're level 90 and all your other friends are level 90, or in this case would be level 100, and then have your friend join and he's level 1 and he has to work his way up, and maybe you could level alts with him or something, but still it's just not the same thing. And it would be nice if they could just hop into the game and start playing with you on your mains, which would definitely be nice. But it's the whole immediate gratification thing, you know, it's the, I don't want to work for it, just give me the level 90, and that's what I can't stand about it. And again, I said I wouldn't get into gameplay, but again, I don't script these things, so once I think of something and once I get going on something, there's no stopping me. So I figured I would touch up my justification of why I don't like it. I'm not trying to necessarily influence you to not like it. I mean, you can like it or not like it, I don't really care, but I'm not going to change my view that I don't think it's a good thing to do, because it just seems like an entitlement thing, you know, like, I don't want to work for this, give me a level 90. That's all I look at it as. Again, on to the main point that I was supposed to be talking about is I think that it will raise WoW's player base to at least over 10 million. I think it will be a very successful WoW expansion. I love the new difficulties and everything, and again, it'll just feel like an entirely new World of Warcraft. I've also heard one last kind of gameplay-oriented thing, that people have signed a petition or something online to get Blizzard to have them buy 90s, like in-game, I guess, or from the Blizzard store or something. And if Blizzard ever does that, I will immediately call it quits on WoW, because regardless of how fun the game is, I will no longer be able to support Blizzard for doing something like that. But with that being said, I don't think they will do something like that. They probably would have already if you know, so and people think that WoW may be going free to play because Blizzard has added so many mounts and pets as of late to their Blizzard store, and have implemented the in-game Blizzard store and everything like that, and that does have some legitimacy to it, and I think it could be a possibility. But as far as I'm concerned, I don't really think that Blizzard will go away from the subscription build. It is an outdated build. You really don't see many MMOs, if any really, that have the subscription build, because it just doesn't really work. But WoW's been so popular and so worth the pay that it really hasn't mattered that much. And yes, definitely if it went free to play, it would get tons and tons more, millions of players joining. But at the end of the day, I think that the subscription build will stand. And I kind of went off topic a little bit, talked about some gameplay features when I really didn't mean to, but oh well, it kind of all led back to the same thing, that I think that WoW will gain a lot of its popularity back. I think a lot of people will be happy. I think a lot of veteran players will come into play. Again, a ton of new players, as there always have been in all WoW expansions. So it should be fun. I really look forward to Warlords of Draenor. So, since this lasted a little bit longer than I thought, I'm going to go ahead and put it into 2 parts. And the second part will be, as I said, will Warlords of Draenor initiate at any given patch or whatever a new class or race? Again, I know they didn't announce one in the release trailer and everything, but they aren't necessarily limited to that. And next time, I would assume next week I will come out with it, will be, you know, if they'll come out with a new race or class in Warlords of Draenor, and I'll kind of discuss what I think it would be, and, you know, what patches they could do, and so on and so forth. So, with that being said, I hope you all have enjoyed this WoW discussion. It's good to be doing them again, and I hope you guys enjoy that I'm doing them again, because I sure as hell am. So that's about it for this part, guys, and stay tuned for part 2, and I will see you guys next time.